Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Gamecock Central Radio, SEC Baseball Tournament Preview today with Kip Bouknight. I'm Emerson Phillips, and we got the late game tonight, Kip. Tuesday start for the SEC Tournament in Hoover, Alabama. Gamecocks get Missouri in the last game of the first day of the tournament, and the first day is single elimination day. The winners on Tuesday will advance to the double elimination portion of the bracket. So basically after Tuesday's games, 4 games on Tuesday. After Tuesday's games, we're down to 8 teams left, and it's double elimination from there. So the Gamecocks get Missouri to start it off tonight, Kip, and it could be a 9:30 or 9:45 start tonight, depending on how all these other games in Hoover go. We do already have one game in the book. Texas A&M beat Vanderbilt 3-1 today to get the action started in Hoover. So, Kip, talk about Carmen Mlodzinski getting the start for the Gamecocks tonight against Missouri. Missouri's obviously up against it. A lot of folks feel like they got to win at least 3 games in Hoover to get in the tournament. The Gamecocks appear to be firmly in, having won 5 consecutive SEC series. But Missouri is starting its ace, TJ Sikkema, who won last week at his start against Tennessee. And the Gamecocks have elected to go with Carmen Mlodzinski. So talk about that decision and the thought process, Kip, coming into a Tuesday night game like this to start the conference tournament.
Well, first and foremost, Sikkema's a very good pitcher, and South Carolina's certainly going to have to try to look at back at the film that when they faced him at Carolina Stadium or Founders Park, and they're going to have to come out and play well and hit the ball and manufacture some runs. And I certainly have no issue at all with Mlodzinski. I like Carmen Mlodzinski a lot. I think he's got a bright future at South Carolina. He is a freshman. He's a guy that can get a lot of ground balls. If he can pitch to contact and try to make something happen within the first 3 or 4 pitches of each at-bat, I think that bodes well for him and the Gamecocks as long as he can keep the ball down and get ground balls like he's certainly capable of doing. And I think, honestly, they're probably just trying to make sure that they keep the normal amount of rest for their pitchers. You know, Logan Chapman pitched last Thursday at Texas A&M, and even though that's what the guys will be doing at the next level in the minor leagues, if you pitch on a Thursday, you'll come back and pitch on a Tuesday. That's normal, 4 days rest, pitching on the 5th day, but he's not used to that. So I don't blame Mark Kingston a bit or Skylar Meade and going to a guy like Carmen Mlodzinski tonight to make sure that even though it's a single elimination, if they lose tonight, they're going home. But I think that just goes to show the confidence they have in our bats, and it goes to show the confidence they have in Carmen Mlodzinski. And I certainly think he's more than capable of doing well tonight and getting the Gamecocks into the double elimination portion of the tournament.
Kip, how important is this game tonight for South Carolina? You know, there's talk that the Gamecocks are locked into the 2-seed line for the upcoming NCAA tournament. You know, I've heard speculation that Carolina could win the SEC tournament and still not host a regional because the Gamecocks have lost 22 games. And some folks feel like that's just too many losses to host a regional. And again, this is all speculation. But, you know, if Carolina were to make a run in Hoover, I got to feel like they're making a strong case. You know, coming into the tournament, they're the hottest team in the SEC right now. And if they were to sweep this tournament, I would think the Gamecocks have got to get some consideration, even with the 22 losses, Kip. They're playing so strong second half of the season, and they've finished on such a high note. I think the Gamecocks have got to at least receive some consideration. So that's obviously plenty of incentive. But the flip side, Kip, is kind of interesting, and it's something that, you know, we don't talk about a lot, but when you get knocked out in the first day, you get a chance to rest some arms and, you know, get a couple of days of practice and work on some things and a chance to recharge the batteries a little bit going into the tournament. So what's the best case scenario for the Gamecocks?
I think it's win. I think they do have a chance to host. I do know, though, that there will have to be it'll have to be a perfect situation. I think certain teams would have to lose out early across the country in their prospective college conference tournaments, rather. But most importantly, I think it's important for South Carolina to continue playing because they're still getting better and they're swinging the bats hot, and I think it's important to continue to play when you're hot, because if you have to sit in baseball, and you look back at the World Series when the Rockies made it that year and they swept through the first couple divisions or the wild card and then division series, and they sat for about a week, and they lost 4-0 in the World Series. And it didn't surprise me because I know what it feels like. Extra rest, in my opinion, in baseball, especially for a pitcher, usually is not good. I mean, if I look back at my career numbers, probably on 6 and 7 days rest in the minor leagues, they weren't very good at all. I like pitching every 5 days. It's easy to keep a feel for your pitches. You get into a routine. Your body knows when it wakes up on that 5th day, you're supposed to be pitching. And when you don't get to pitch for 10, 11, 12 days, that makes it really, really tough. And, I think that, again, that's something Skylar Meade's done a great job with his pitching staff this year. He's got guys in when they needed to be in, even if the game didn't really dictate that, because he knows that it's not good for pitchers to sit a long time. And, I think back to my sophomore year in the year 1999, South Carolina, we were 33-24. We won the Eastern Division. We were 15-15, and we did not even make the NCAA tournament. So for South Carolina to be in a position now that we're talking about potential hosts, I think just goes to show where this program's at from a national perspective and what people feel about it. I mean, obviously a 2-time national champion, a national champion runner-up in, I believe, 2002 and 2012, a program that's arguably the program of the 2000s. They deserve to be in that conversation. If they fall short, they have no one to blame but themselves. When you lose to Presbyterian, Charleston Southern, Furman, you lose those games, those midweek games, that definitely could come back to bite them for sure. Because I think if they win 3 or 4 of those games, it's a no-brainer that South Carolina would be hosting, in my opinion. So, that's hurt them, but you know what? That's behind them. All they can do is look forward, and I think tonight is a very important game for South Carolina, and I think it's a very winnable game for them, and they're certainly going to be ready to play, and they're going to have to be able to, battle through some adversity because, I think that first game today, A&M Vandy, was in a rain delay for a while as well, so I think they'll be lucky to start by 10 o'clock tonight, and they'll be playing baseball into tomorrow morning, I believe, and they've got to be able to handle that well.
Yep, it's going to be a late night tonight for Gamecock baseball fans. We're recording here on Tuesday in South Carolina, scheduled to take on Missouri. We got a 9:45 scheduled start time right now as we're recording here on Tuesday afternoon. You mentioned the rain delay in the Vanderbilt Texas A&M game. A&M won that game 3-1, and right now it is Auburn with a lead on Kentucky. And it's overcast in Hoover right now. We could get some more rain there today. Well, obviously, we don't know how that's going to play out, so it could be a late start tonight for the Gamecocks. 9:45 at the earliest as of right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the starting pitching matchups. We told you that it'll be Carmen Majinski throwing for the Gamecocks. TJ Sycamore, the ace of the Missouri staff, gets the nod for the Tigers. Majinski's a freshman right-hander, 2-5 with a 4.93. 34 Ks and 15 walks in 34 innings pitched this year. And Sycamore, sophomore lefty, 3-5 with a 3.41 ERA, 66 innings, 75 Ks, 19 walks. And Kip, you mentioned that he pitched the first game of the Missouri series that was in Columbia just 11 days ago. Missouri won that game 5-3. Sycamore got a no decision. He pitched 4 2/3, gave up 1 run, but he's the ace of the Missouri staff, and they got a win here in Hoover, so they're going with their best guy.
Yeah, they are. Again, South Carolina's got to be ready to play. Certainly capable of pitching into the 7th, 8th inning. He's a really good pitcher, and South Carolina's going to have to manufacture some runs. And Carmen Majinski's going to have to come out and throw strikes. If he can, again, I do have high hopes for this young man. I think he's going to be a Friday, Saturday night type guy in the SEC at some point in his career. And, you're talking about a guy that used to throw nothing but 4-seam fastballs and really came over the top and had a violent delivery, and they really tried to change his arm angle, and now he's throwing 2-seam fastballs and trying to sink that ball and get ground balls. So it's a completely different, not only pitch in motion and delivery, but a different mentality too. So he's had to adjust a lot, and I think that, the best days are to come for him, and hopefully tonight's a good one.
Auburn's got a 3-1 lead in the fourth inning as we record here on Tuesday afternoon. Still to come tonight, Mississippi State and LSU. LSU at 44 in the RPI, considered a bubble team right now, as is Kentucky, according to Ben McDonald, the SEC Network color analyst. A lot of interesting discussion going on during these games today on the SEC Network about the conference as a whole. Right now, the SEC Network projecting 4 number 1 seeds for the Southeastern Conference, 4 number 2s, and 3 number 3s. But there's still a lot of baseball to be played before the seedings and the pairings are announced for the NCAA tournament. So, Kip, we're looking at a late start tonight, and the winner of tonight's game will get the late game again tomorrow against Arkansas, and that will be the start of double elimination play. So, the winner tonight sets up to spend a weekend and perhaps more in Hoover. So it's an interesting time of year because teams are jockeying, as we talked about last week, for bids to the tournament. Some teams still trying to get in, some teams trying to secure a top 8 national seed, and other teams, like the Gamecocks, trying to host a regional.
Yeah, this is the best time of the year. I mean, this is what you play for. In South Carolina, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, they didn't know that they would even be in this tournament. A lot of fans, I think, are ecstatic with the turnaround and, what Mark Kingston and his staff and ultimately the players have been able to do. And, now it's left up to South Carolina to go out and really try to, extend on this momentum that they've created and do everything they can to put themselves in a better position. Because I do believe they've done enough to certainly be in an NCAA regional. Where that regional is and what type of seed they get and what type of regional they get is all going to depend on what happens here in Birmingham. And it all starts tonight. And I just think this team is, they've been through the lowest of the lows. I mean, they are certainly going to go out and play hard and do everything they can to win tonight.
Kip, you going to stay up late and watch the ball game?
I will definitely be watching, that's for sure.
I knew you would. All right, get your popcorn ready for late night Gamecock baseball tonight, 9:45 schedule time, a start time. That's Eastern time for South Carolina and Missouri opening day of the SEC baseball tournament. Kip, we'll come back after the tournament wraps up, and once the NCAA tournament pairings are announced, we'll come back and have a full NCAA tournament preview as well here on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Go Gamecocks.
That's Kip Bouknight. He won the Golden Spikes Award, and that goes to the top amateur player in all of baseball here in America. And I'm Emerson Phillips. We'll do it again next week here on Gamecock Central Radio.